9:01, at least here in Pretoria. I guess it's 10:01 in Finland. All right, let me just get everything sorted out here. All right, I think we can start. So, good morning, everyone. I am coming to you from freezing Pretoria. The winter just set in, and the temperatures in the night are closing to zero. So I know Finland is fantastically getting the summer there now, but yeah, we're trying to keep warm. So anyways, on behalf of Team Finland South Africa, I'd like to wish you all welcome to our How to Create a Successful Food and Beverage Business in South Africa. So my name is Jenny Kielholma, and I am responsible for agricultural affairs, focused especially on promoting export of food, beverages, but also agricultural solutions and anything related to the development of food systems from Finland to South Africa. And in some extent also to Southern Africa. I joined the team here in August 2019. So just quickly about my background, I have a background in veterinary medicine and economics, and I am at the moment borrowed from the Finnish Food Authority, where I have a permanent post as a head of the export unit. But my relationship to South Africa goes a little bit deeper than just this post at the embassy. Being married to a local, I have since 20 years created quite a comprehensive understanding of how the country and her beautiful people operate. So South Africa has, since democracy in 1994, opened up for international trade, and the taste of the consumers has since then developed to appreciate also imported goodies. So South Africa is a real foodie country. You will soon notice it when you come here for a visit. South African cuisine and culinary traditions are as diverse as the country itself. And these diversified customer needs made South Africa exciting future market also for Finnish food and beverages. One must, however, understand the realities of South African society. The country is one of the most unequal countries in the world, and this moment the unemployment is rampant. It's over 30% officially. But the upper and middle class of South Africa consists about 10% of the population, which is more than 6 million consumers. According to some sources, food and beverage revenue is expected to show an annual growth rate of 10.5%. This was between 2019 and 2023, resulting in a market volume of $122 million by 2023. About 50% of the revenue is generated by restaurants and coffee shops. So the opportunities are there, they just must be identified. As the saying goes, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. But I will leave it to the industry expert to elaborate a bit more on the market. So at Team Finland South Africa, we are committed to support you, that South Africa would be your company's next growth market and also gateway for your expansion to other parts of Africa. We want to support you in a practical way and identify and create opportunities, connect you to a relevant network of contacts, and coach you to succeed. So we are altogether 9 experts here at Team Finland. It's people at the embassy here in Pretoria and Business Finland offices in Johannesburg. And some of our colleagues have regional focus as well. Our team is led by Ambassador Ms. Anne Lammila, and she is today here with us following this masterclass. So Ambassador, feel quickly to wave and say good morning to everyone here.
So very good morning to everybody. I'm glad to see so many of you there, and I'm certain that this will be a very useful and fun day for all of you. So welcome on my behalf.
Excellent. Thank you, Ambassador. So over the next 1.5 hours, We will share experiences and insights of selected industry experts that have graciously accepted our invitation to join the discussion and share their insights. So welcome. And you can see the program here. So a few reminders before I introduce our partner and moderator. Please note that we are recording this masterclass for internal quality assurance, and it will be also shared after this masterclass. Please use the chat function for all the questions. We will follow them here, and we will address the questions after the discussions. And if there's not enough time to address all of them, we'll get back to them on email later. So please don't be shy. Just ask whatever comes into your mind. Yes, like I said, we are delivering this masterclass in partnership with our moderator from Intolead, Mr. Mika Jantunen, who is the CEO. Mika is very experienced with the South African market, and he has been living and working here since 2013. His company is both in South Africa and Finland, and he knows what it takes to enter this market and expand business here. He is also a keen food enthusiast himself, I've heard. So I'll soon hand over to Mika so he can tell a bit more about his experience with South Africa and introduce the group discussion format and our industry experts. So hope you will find this masterclass to be beneficial, and we hope this conversation today will result in advancing your entry into South Africa. We are happy to continue providing support for you. But now, Mika, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jenny, and thanks for the invitation from Team Finland to facilitate this masterclass. I'm specifically excited to do food and beverage, and there are few reasons for that. As Jenny said, I've been working with both overseas companies, but also with South African companies, and now for 10 years, seen many companies entering and establishing businesses in South Africa. And one of the key things in coming to South Africa, starting the export activities, is to understand the culture. And I think one of the greatest way to really start to live and understand South African culture is to get to know the food and beverage cultures of South Africa. And I specifically say cultures because there's no just one culture when it comes to food and beverage. There is a very high quality hospitality industry in South Africa. One of the reasons being that it's a tourist destination. It's a great European cuisine, steakhouses, seafood restaurants around the country. But then there are also other things. If you are brave enough, you take your Black African friends and spend a night in townships. It's all centered around great food. As Asian cuisine, Chinese, Indian cuisine, Cape Town area, Cape Malay cuisine, very specific thing. And these all food cultures are way to the South African culture. And if you are doing business in South Africa, it's very important to understand this diverse cultures you are engaging with. So that's one reason why it's so fantastic to have this food and beverage masterclass. Masterclasses are all about learning and sharing information. And the second thing I'm excited to have this masterclass and moderating this is that when I do food in my network or with my friends, it is very often around food and drinks. And of course, as a Finn, I try to bring always something from the Helsinki-Vantaa airport to South Africa. And well perceived is, of course, vodka-related products like licorice vodka, Finnish chocolates, mustard, oat-related products, which you actually at this moment can't get from the country. And because the country and food cultures are so diverse, I firmly believe, based on my very subjective market study with my friends, there would be a demand and a market for those products. And through this masterclass, I personally hope we can also encourage companies who still are not yet in the country to start their journey. So these two things get me excited. Other than that, why Africa? Why South Africa? First of all, the growth in Africa is inevitable. It's a continent of 1 billion people living right now. In next 20 years, it will be a double amount of people living in continent, and much of it is middle class getting stronger and stronger, which of course creates business opportunities for importers. But then again, it's also important to remember that there are many misconceptions what Africa is all about, what South African market is all about. And when it comes to food and beverage, especially, I would say market is surprisingly advanced also in many areas. It's a competitive market, a lot of beautiful brands present in the market already. And this is important, that in order to succeed in the market, it takes quite a lot of commitment and good preparation. And inside, we will be sharing with you guys through the panel discussion, hopefully help you to understand how important the good preparation, good planning, long-term planning is for your success. And then again, South Africa. To me, it's a real business hub, most advanced economy in South Africa. South Africa being a great place to start your African journey. And despite the challenges, it's a by far most advanced business infrastructure, logistical systems, and all that. So that's to me is why South Africa. We had a pre-study as part of the registration to this event, and we wanted to ask from you guys what you expect from this masterclass, and these kind of points you wrote down to us. Very usual stuff when it comes to internationalize your businesses. You are expecting to hear from us practical advices, how to find right partners. You are of course interested what's the status of let's say new food trends, or what are the main food and beverage related trends. We try to address these things during the panel discussion. How to find right segments, for example, for premium products, and this is important because it is so diverse economy, so diverse, even complex sometimes food culture. There are specific segments and a lot, I would say, niche segments that you just need to dig deep and find out. It's a culture of relationship when it comes to South Africa. It's important to create your own networks. Of course, you need to start from the business culture, and basically this masterclass and discussion is all about how to create a success through entry to the market, and I'm so proud and happy that we have real South African business heavyweights when it comes to food and beverage industry to share their views. But before we go into panel discussion, and before I introduce all the industry experts we have on board, we'll just firstly look at what the market is all about, and exactly the right person to give an outlook of food and beverage industry is Danila van Jaarsveld from Southern African German Chamber of Commerce and Industry. She's been working a lot in food and researching the market, and based on that, Danila now gives her view on market and some basic facts of the things. Floor is yours, Danila.
Thank you very much, Mika. It's really an honor to be here today at a Finnish event. As Mika said, yeah, I'm from the German Chamber of Commerce, so we mainly support German companies to enter the South African market, but we've also helped Italian, Lithuanian, Croatian, and other European companies to also enter the market. So Finnish will definitely be also very welcome to us. I say very welcome or hello from a warmer Durban. I'm fortunate to be not in the cold city of Pretoria. So, and Mika, we also have a nice food culture here, which is the Indian food culture, which is also part of South Africa's heritage. So yeah, as you ask, I will give a very, very brief overview of the South African food and beverage sector as I know it. I mean, I'm sure if I see someone from Pick n Pay, they will probably know way more than me, but let me start. Now, South Africa has a well-developed agri-sector business, which plays a significant role in job creation and economic development. The country is also the largest exporter of agricultural products in Africa, as mentioned before. In 2021, the growth of the sector in total was 8.3%. Apart from being primary agriculture, South Africa is also strong in secondary agriculture. There are over 1,800 food production companies in South Africa, and the industry employs 450,000 people in the subsectors of meat, fish, fruit, dairy products, grain mill products, and beverages. The top 10 food manufacturing companies are responsible for more than 80% of the industry's production revenue. Some of the large food manufacturers include companies like Clover, RCL Foods Limited, Tiger Brands, Rhodes Food Group, Tongaat Hewlett, which are here with me in KZN, and SAB Miller. But it is not only South African companies that manufacture in South Africa. There are also many international manufacturers such as Ferrero, Kraft, Nestle, Dr. Oetker for the Germans, and Unilever that manufacture in South Africa. South Africa has an import market. Even though South Africa is largely self-sufficient in agriculture, the country still has opportunities for imports. The South Africa's total import value of agriculture products amounted to 5.6 billion euro in 2021, which shows that there are huge opportunities. The growth of the import market can be contributed to a growing middle class and a very diverse population or consumer, as that's also been mentioned before. When one looks at South Africa's total import value, a third of the imports were from primary agricultural products, and 2/3 of the total value was secondary agricultural imports. The South African food retail market is highly concentrated, with the top 7 food retail companies accounting for about 80% of all retail sales. The top 7 companies are Shoprite Holdings, Pick n Pay, Massmart, Spar, Woolworths, the Food Lovers Market, and Choppies. Most of these retailers have various shops or brands in their groups. For example, that ShopRite has also the Checkers, ShopRite and Usave brands, and Pick n Pay has the Pick n Pay stores, of course, Boxer stores. The different brands focus on different consumers. Checkers for a higher income group and Usave, for instance, for a lower income group. I've also read now that I see Craig here that Pick n Pay is also going to focus a bit more on the lower income groups. But then again, I wrote about that in my newsletter. You also see that they do virtual gardens in their shops, which will definitely be for the higher income groups. The size of the South African food retail market is approximately 47 billion euros. The local retailers are expanding into Africa. Most of them have a footprint already in Africa, which of course also offers then opportunity for Finnish companies, if they do business with the South African retailers, to also go into sub-Saharan Africa. Market entry can be through buyers, or through importers, or distributors. Most of the retailers actually import themselves, which makes it also very easy for the companies. The supermarkets utilize centralized and or decentralized distribution systems. The large supermarket chains and big franchises maintain their own centralized distribution and modern warehouse systems, which supplies products to all their supermarket branches located in various parts of the country. Other retail supermarkets are flexible and permit each of their stores throughout the country to deal directly with foreign exporters or local distributors and import agents. The role of private labels are very strong. I can see, I mean, from personal experience with companies where I've dealt with, is that, I mean, it's an easier way to get into the market. A company I can mention like Balsen sells their biscuits or cookies under a private label with Spar because they don't care. It depends if you are happy to be private label or you want to be brand specific. I've also had a company who had a very famous cheese, wanted to sell it under their name. Woolworths was very interested in it, but wanted it to be private label, so the company was not interested. So that is something that you can also look into, but private labels are very strong. I personally prefer Pick n Pay's peanut butter, even before Black Cat or Yum Yum. I'll go on to the SWOT analysis. The strengths of South Africa is there's a wide range of agro-food products that are consumed due to the country's diversity. South Africa is among the most advanced and largest economies on the continent. There's a sizable youth population, but there's also, interestingly, a very big aging demographic. The population is already highly urbanized, and the level of urbanization continues to increase. Modern large-scale retail channels such as supermarkets are of high importance for food and beverage distribution. The weaknesses, as we've mentioned before, South Africa is very good in its own agricultural production, which means it is very self-sufficient. As a consequence of this, import volumes requested by South African partners may seem low for some or some of many products. Legislation can potentially also be challenging in that it spans various ministries and pieces of legislation. The majority of consumers are cost conscious, and private label supermarket products are gaining in popularity. Opportunities. While there is a high level of domestic food production, there is also a plethora of niche opportunities, whether for certain products at certain times of the year or due to specific circumstances. Large retailers, which are a natural channel for imported products, are dominant. As the largest country in the region, South Africa may also act as a gateway to neighboring markets, most notably through South Africa's retail chains, also with a presence in the neighboring countries. The EPA offers EU producers significant advantages over almost all other non-African exporters to South Africa. The threats, the domestic food processing industry is the most advanced in the region. Indeed, the country produces a lot of processed foods products for export to the region or continent. The recent economic situation in South Africa has made already cost-conscious consumer even more so. Trade barriers and delays to resolving issues with imports can occur from time to time and may be increasingly a problem with the recession. When adding to that, I can also say, of course, the war in the Ukraine is playing a big role here, as well as the floods we had here in KZN and the looting last year, which affected the harbors, which are both, well, not both, but the biggest harbor is located here in Durban. And that's it, I think. It's short and sweet. Try to stay to 10 minutes, Mika.
Thank you so much, Daniela. What an insightful presentation altogether. This is a great intro to introduce our panel experts, industry experts, and can I start Daniela from you? We had a chat before this masterclass, and you told some fascinating stories from companies coming from Germany that you consider that no way they can't find a market from here, and you've been working with many German companies, and for us, of course, because Masterclass is about learning, it's important to learn from our German friends. If I start this way, what have you learned from this market, specific South African food and beverage market, and is there something that is common to all brands companies coming to South Africa?
Yeah, what I've learned is that you really have to know the market. I mean, and sometimes you think as a consumer myself, I know the market, but our buyers, and I call all of them from, I've dealt with Pick n Pay, who's sitting here, definitely with Shoprite, with Woolworths, they know the markets. You know, we don't bring them anything new, I've learned. I mean, they know what they want. I think sometimes a product is very good, and I would love to have it here, take it to one of the retailers, and they say, sorry, we know it's a good product, but it won't work here. The South Africans would rather take another product. But also bringing in is sometimes, like I said, you think you can bring a product in, and then there's just no interest for it. Or you think that this will never work. I've had, that's not a food product, but relating to the food product was like a wine barrel. And the first person I contacted wanted it. Although I said to the guy, listen, there's no way we can bring in wine barrels. Last year, I helped Italian companies bring in apples and pears into our country. Apples and pears being one of the biggest exports of our country. So there is always a buyer for something. You must just find it. I mean, if you, of course, apples and pears, no one wanted to buy it, but the baby food company said we needed those apples and pears because it has a different consistency to the South African companies, which is perfect for baby food. So listen to the person who's selling the product. I've learned because that Italian knew what his apples was good for. And I mean, I just said, well, apple pies, I don't think so. Who will buy it? We don't eat it. But he knew it would be good for baby food. So I tried the baby food companies and it worked. Yeah. There is a buyer for your product. You must just find it. Okay, it might not be the retailer, but might be something else.
Yeah. So never give up.
Never give up. But it is not easy. With the cheese, I've seen you have to register with so many people, but that's why I say go to the retailers because they know it already.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Really good to have you on board, Daniela. And because it's a ladies first, my dear friend Laura Lykkegaard from Cape Town, and I think we are real drink persons because very seldom, for some reason, when we meet, we do not order a bottle of good white wine.
We do indeed. And yes. I mean, what else to do when in Cape Town?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, let me just.
Yeah. Please introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mika. Thank you so much to Team Finland for having me on board here. I'm originally from Denmark, but have been a Cape Townian for 29 years, and I have done nothing but setting up Scandinavian and Nordic companies in South Africa. Anything from wind farms to H&M and yeah, you name it, small and big, it's all been there. And also food and beverages have been part of my portfolio, a lot of them the other way around, helping South African food and beverage companies getting into the Nordics, but certainly also this way. I have also founded a company and a concept called Nordic House. And Nordic House is a platform that assists the Nordic companies getting a good start in South Africa. And we offer everything from setting up your company to making sure you get on board with the right labor lawyers or the right accounting firms. Will set up your bank account. We will do all those practical, boring things, but in a safe way where we only use people and companies that we have dealt with over and over again and who are now used to the Nordic way of thinking in a South African context. In this connection, I have also watched what Business Finland and the embassy is doing. It's really interesting to see how much you are emphasizing on specifically this area, which I think is super interesting. I am at the moment talking to a Finnish vegan company that would like to get into South Africa, and maybe I should chat to some of our friends here at Pick and Pay and so on afterwards. In any way, we're here to help. It is a super interesting market. I was sent down here in '93 for a one-year contract. It is the classic story of most foreigners in South Africa. And Africa gets under your skin and you just stay forever. There is no thing about it. It is also cold in Cape Town today, but it doesn't matter. We love it. It's a beautiful day. So I'm open and I'm here for all your questions or for anything you think I can help with. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And also a question to you. What do you think you have learned from food and beverage market or industry in South Africa?
Well, first of all, to anyone who hasn't been to South Africa before, it is actually quite a mecca when it comes to gastronomy and wine, of course, and beverage in general. There's a good taste in South Africa for good food and beverages. There's a high level of expectations to what we buy in the supermarkets and get at the restaurants. Which also means that a lot of our Nordic companies and producers definitely should find a way in here. I believe that. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Let's move forward and we have Ulf Krill from Binks Group. You have also worked in the market for a long time. And you have a long, rich experience working with the brands. Please introduce yourself. And great to have you.
Well, thanks, Mika. Thanks for the invitation. We started about 25 years ago the importation of products and building an importation business in this country. And yeah, I think always be careful if you think an expert is going to tell you something, but I think one thing that we sort of picked up is, the market is a challenging market for sure, and it's a difficult market to enter into, and you must be sure of the relevance of your products before you try and take the first steps into a market. Because like Daniela said, just because you think, oh, this is a great idea, you really need to know why there's relevance for your product before taking the first steps, because nobody will listen to you or give you a chance if there isn't really evidence that you are absolutely required in the market.
Yeah, And you are assisting in terms of that process through Wings Group.
Well, are we assisting? I mean, yes. I mean, I think we represent some premium branded manufacturers in the country that have a very specific requirement in the way that the brand is represented, distributed, shown on shelf, built, marketed, and basically presented to the consumer. So we see ourselves as an extension of these particular branded businesses into the South African market space. We mostly deal in the premium segment because by default, once you bring products across the borders, you ship it halfway around the world. It's unlikely you're competing for 60 million consumers. It's unlikely that you're competing for a lot smaller market. And you just need to be aware, what is that market that you're really targeting? Are you premium? Are you in the middle of the market? Are you going to the bottom end of the market? And you will find that once you are importing your products into this country, that the opportunities get smaller. And I think it's also important to realize that when companies buy figures from Nielsen and from Euromonitor and so on, that nobody will ever tell you don't go there. They will all tell you it's a fantastic opportunity. This is the best thing you can do. You must come here. The figures are fantastic. It's we've just been waiting for you. You need to be realistic that the market is a lot smaller than these companies make it out to be, because effectively you're paying for somebody to tell you that it's a great idea to go to South Africa. So just be aware of that. Because in the end, the market is relatively small, and it's almost like a bottleneck kind of market. You have to have the right kind of entry into the market to get a national footprint. If you are unable to have a convincing argument for our modern trade to list you on shelf, there's almost no chance that your brand and your product is going to survive.
Yeah, and you already answered my question. What have you learned? And you have learned a lot. Thank you so much, Ulf. Great to have you on board. And let's move to one of the biggest retailers in South Africa, Pick n Pay. Greg van Breda, please say hello to all and introduce yourself.
Hello all. Morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to this masterclass session. I'm more than eager to give you my insights or answer any questions or any. But yeah, so just to add on to what all from Wings Group, so there are some of their products already in the Pick n Pay market. But coming back to South Africa as a diverse country, not only do we have 11 official languages within South Africa, the cultures are very diverse. So, for example, what works in Cape Town doesn't necessarily work in Gauteng or in KZN and vice versa. So we've seen the whole, I would say, market requirement and target market that we actually try and penetrate really, how can I say, be more fine-tuned, if I can put it that way. In the past, let's say before COVID and as well as before that as well, you could bring in a product from international-based suppliers, and you can trial and test it. Whereas it's been changed now that it's so diverse, and because South Africa economy-wise is so tight on cash flow, it's really, you have your upper tier class, which was mentioned earlier, and you have your lower LSM customer. So you got to really we really do our market research before we actually import a niche product, whether it be branded or private label. But other than that, the commodity lines on imports as well is very price sensitive. So we're actually more trading it rather than we actually importing it at a specific cost, because there's so much competition, not only from other retailers, but from other importers offering the same brand within South Africa, that we really need to get the best price and the best quality at all times, And other than that, unfortunately, your more upper LSM products that you offer to the customer is not your volume or your cash flow drivers, if I can put it that way, because the volume that you import doesn't really justify the, how can I say, the market that will actually buy it. You know, South African customers are very brand loyal as well. So they go to a store and are specifically looking for a brand in your upper LSM. And the other thing is the other customer that is in your lower LSM, if I can, or middle class to lower, they go for what is cheapest on shelf, irrespective of quality, because a lot of them assume that if you as a retailer are keeping it on your shelf, that the quality is you know, as what they require. So it's very diverse, but in saying that, there's a lot of opportunity to offer new niche brands. Markets are always evolving, so we want to offer something more tasteful or more, how can I say, applicable to what people have seen maybe abroad when they've been visiting or heard via hearsay from somebody. So we always got to stay on top of trends as well. So, you know, what necessarily worked in the last 6 months is not going to work going forward unless you grow the brand or develop it into something different or something better, and give that different offering.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Great,
Yes.
Great insight. Also from you perspective.
Thank
And finally, not completely sure. I know Ian has had network problems this morning, but is Ian present right now?
Mika, unfortunately, there has been a huge storm in Cape Town, and he is desperately trying to get connected. We are.
Okay.
So he's busy connecting, but maybe I can just quickly fill in a few things regarding the alcohol on the beverage sector here in South Africa. I mean, like you were talking with Laura, South Africans like drinking, like the Finns. About 40% of South African has basically says that they drink alcohol. I've found some numbers here. This is actually the SACU, the South African Customs Union. It's South Africa, Botswana, Lesotho, Namibia, and Eswatini. So South Africa being like the biggest country here. So 2020, this group of countries drank 3.59 billion liters of alcohol. Beer is the most consumed still, but the RTDs, or the ready-to-drink products, comes right after. Then wine, and then spirits. And spirits is also at the 116 million liters. About South African, how it's, I'm not sure if how well the Finnish companies know South African alcohol market, but we can buy wine in grocery stores, but beer and strong alcohols you have to get in a specific alcohol stores. The retail or like supermarket run liquor stores are getting more and more popular. We have Pick n Pay Liquor, then we have Spar, who has Tops. We have Checkers, ShopRite, they have their own liquor stores. Woolworths, kind of the more upmarket grocery stores, they have now also opened, I think 2021 was when they opened their first liquor stores. And then we have some independent, I guess you can call them independent chains, like the Discount Liquor, and then also Norman Goodfellows that Ian is representing, but also a few others. But I don't know, maybe if Greg or Danila would also could share some insights of the liquor industry, or should we continue with our conversation until Ian joins us?
Yeah, I propose we go into a panel discussion and hopefully get Ian on board, and then we can explore this a little bit more. But great insight. It's a very specific market, and it is a different market than European market in many ways. But let's see if Ian is able to join, and let him speak. Because Norman Goodfellows been distributor in that segment for almost 30 years, if I have understood correctly, and they know the alcohol market inside out. But let's move forward into our industry expert discussion, and we have divided this panel discussion into four separate parts, and I thought it would be really good to start this discussion to explore a little bit what the business culture in South Africa is all about, and for manufacturers coming from Finland, what things should be taken into account in order to succeed in the market. Personally, what I have experienced coming from Finland, starting businesses, representing companies, one striking thing I have learned, and that is that concept of trust is perceived differently in South Africa than in business environment where I'm coming from, and I mean with that in Scandinavian culture, the trust is until you lose it. People are trusted, and I mean, you can take a cold call even to president if you like. Good chances that he even pick up the phone. South African market is more exclusive, and trust needs to be earned in many ways, and it's not necessarily very easy to get into networks, business networks, ecosystems, because of the nature of exclusivity of the business culture. Do you guys see the same way? And because you live in that business culture, what there is that Finnish manufacturers should take into account when starting to engage with South African stakeholders in business?
I think from my side, if I can just add, I think the one is consistency. So if a product or a product range is introduced into the South African market, so consistency needs to be maintained, especially when you come from a number one key element is promotion driving. So you got to make people aware, especially on branded products, as well as the availability of and transparency between, how can I say, retailer within South Africa or distributor, whichever channel you use, as well as the end manufacturer. So if there's like what we're currently experiencing now, and we have been experiencing it for a couple of months, where continuous price increases on raw materials and all of that, at the end of the day, it affects the end consumer and the customer. So for a retailer, it's very difficult to have to increase your prices every 3 to 4 months, because obviously we have our own competition within South Africa between the retailers and between other smaller markets and distributors and so on. So I think consistency, just to try and maintain it and gradually assist with the increased prices, not only with raw material, like I said, but the fluctuating exchange rate which we're experiencing in South Africa versus the dollar or the euro currency at the moment. So, and continuously. So yeah, I think that's one of the key finders that I would say needs to be looked at from start to, I would say, to the whole business relationship. I don't want to say end, because obviously you want to build a good business relationship and a continuous one. So yes.
I think I want to enforce what Craig just said. The sustainability. I mean, just think that you're entering into a market where sometimes people don't think further ahead than tomorrow or the day after, because it's a very sort of idea of European business and European growth, where sort of the grandfathers have done business and the fathers have done business and the sons have done business. You know, that is a European way of thinking, and you need to try and translate that into the African market, because the people need to know that you're not excited about this business that you are trying to present today, but what about next year and the year after and the year after? Are you still going to be there? Are you still going to hold the retailer's hand? Are you still going to be a good partner to them? I think this is really important. And for us, I can tell you this has probably taken decades to establish, you know, that you sort of have this relationship of continuity. And it's important that if you're looking to enter the market fresh, that you try and create certainty about the fact that you are looking at a decade or 2 decades of developing your brand, and not just trying to see if it works today.
Completely agree. It's about actually, also the fact that if you do not do that, you will not have the possibility to go into, for example, neighboring markets or anything like that. You've got to have we call it the long vision on here, and you have to really think this through. You also have to make sure that you get that you have your marketing budget with it and everything. I also think it's important from a South African perspective to say that in the Nordics we have had, and I hope I can say that with all the respect for everybody, we've had this idea that we were a little bit of besserwissers, and we think that we do better than everyone else in the world, and we will come and teach them in Africa how to do things. Forget it about South Africa. They're smart, entrepreneurial, wonderful people here. They are really, really good at what they're doing. But that also means that you will end up having amazing relationships. If you work on it, it will be a win-win. You will have equal relationships in South Africa if you do your part of the work. And it's also, I usually also say when I'm approached by companies from the Nordics, I will, within 1 or 2 meetings, also sometimes be able to say, no, I don't think your product will succeed in South Africa, and I don't want to give you a blue-eyed whatever's view on that. And you actually have to be realistic about it. When that is all said and done, this is land of opportunity still. I do have that vision as well. But yeah, it's being realistic about it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can also agree, because the Germans are also besserwisser, often, not always, but often think they come with the solution that we already probably have for our country, because it doesn't always fit. But I also say our people know what they want. They all go to the Anugas and the Sials. They know which programs. We don't bring them something new. So you must really do your research, relationship, and equal relationship. Like you said, come in and say, I know that you must actually, they must think that you are needed. You must actually be able to sell yourself that you are needed here. Otherwise, they know what they want. They're not stupid.
Start by listening all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, if I can just add on,
face to face.
If I can just add on to that, I'll meet with many different international suppliers on a daily basis, and I think somebody mentioned it earlier. You know, everybody has the best product, and it's the #1 seller in their country, or it's the best quality. But you know, I would say 8 out of 10 times they haven't done market research within South Africa. So what I don't say it's not true what they're saying. I believe it, because I also sometimes go and do market research prior to the meetings about the products that are presented. But you know, whatever they're presenting might not be fit for the market within South Africa, and unfortunately a lot of the times it's not. So I think if a product is presented to the South African market, that research from the manufacturer needs to be done prior to that. I know of a lot of other suppliers that actually send a research or marketing or whatever you want to call the division into South African markets prior to engaging with retailers and so on. And then when they hit the market, or when they have these I would say in-depth discussions with the retailers, you know, you can actually come to senses that they've actually done their research, and you know, they know what they're talking about. So unless it's a sourced product, so if it works vice versa, now if we're sourcing a product from, just for example, from Finland, and we know you got a good oats product or whatever, then it's a different discussion, because then we actually want your product in our market, and we've done all the homework. So yeah, I would say it's a vice versa effort. But if it's a new product, my word of advice is just do a lot of market research and a lot of trends within South Africa, like everyone's been mentioning, and I think that's the key focus on that.
Can I just add something also with the market research? I've also had like companies from Germany who make pasta. It is a great pasta, I suppose, but as a South African, many South Africans do not associate Germany with pasta. So no one was interested in that product. But when I bring a cheese, I mean, it's not the biggest cheese maker, but it has good cheeses. Then they were interested. But pasta, I could not get anyone interested in pasta, for instance.
One comment to Danila and Laura. You mentioned and emphasized relationship-driven market in many respects. What is your experience? How long it actually takes? You can give a guess to really create the meaningful relationships with your customers in South Africa. What do you think?
Good question. It depends on the setup. You know what? Some of them can be done within a few meetings, and some of them will take a few years. But and depends on the urgency and the need of the relation, I guess, as well. Good question, but there's no uniform answer to that.
Yeah,
I think
but
it's also
commitment needs to be there.
Absolutely. And transparency and honesty, and yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, with me, I cannot speak from the companies. I can just speak for myself. It's also a human thing. I mean, if you have a person, for instance, in Pick n Pay that you have a good relationship with, and that person leaves, it doesn't say that you will have a good relationship with the next one. You know, that is sometimes a problem. I don't want to name brands, or the retailers, but I never had a good, not a relationship. They were just not interested. And then suddenly there's a new person, and the person's interested in everything, and you have a good relationship. And with another retailer, I had a very good relationship, and the person left is a consultant now. And now I really struggle to get the same work, you know, so it depends. It's also, but with companies, a product, I'm sure that's a different thing, because that's the product, not the person so much.
Yeah. And Greg, yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I agree with you, but I think that's why a new company should actually try and build on their brand rather than establish the good relationship only with the how can I say, the senior buyer with a company, because irrespective of who the interaction is with, if the brand is strong and has a long-term relationship within the company is going to want the brand, and it's not left to own discretion of whoever is managing it from a buying perspective. So that's also, you know, especially if it's coming from a new country, like for example, Pick n Pay we import from all different countries globally, but nothing from Finland. So it will be, if we have to introduce Finland products, you know, it will be how can I say, a double whammy for one. So number one, we have to establish the brand and the relationship with the company, but number two is we have to how can I say, you know, how long is the continuity of that? You know, how long can they supply because they're new within the South African market? And you know, that relationship's got to be almost micromanaged. So, and I think with time to come, that will establish itself and it will grow on, you know, positively from there.
And then finally, in terms of this is part of the discussion. A question to Ulf. You are also contacted by many brands, and Greg mentioned that please do your homework, do the market research. Do you agree, or is there anything to add on to that makes a difference to your mind when you evaluate the brands that contact you?
Definitely, yes. I think we we probably have, I would say, around 5 inquiries every week for products. But I can tell you that if we said yes to those, Pick n Pay wouldn't give us the time of day, right? So we have to be very selective about knowing that these products are relevant and are really so we have effectively only 10 premium brands in our assortment, because as the moment you sort of say, oh, we can be everything to everybody, you're no longer really being focused on your business. And if you suddenly represent 100 brands in the market and have 1,000 SKUs, I mean, what retailer is going to have a believable interaction with you that you are sort of somehow being focused on improving their business? Because you really have to make a case for why you have to be there. Is there really a need for you to be there? And if there isn't, there's no business. And I think this is important to remember. And one other thing that Craig mentioned is the price sensitivity. I think we can hand on our heart say that South Africa is the market where manufacturers probably make the least amount of money to anywhere in the world. If we compare the prices they achieve, for instance, in Singapore, South Korea, the GCC, you know, those markets all have a lot more purchasing power than South Africa. So if we go into the market and benchmark these products against products that are already on the shelf, we find that manufacturers have to make a relatively large contribution to making this a successful endeavor, because being in the South African market is more expensive than some other markets, and the prices you fetch are considerably lower.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. And that leads us into our second point. Let's focus for a while to a South African customer and what kind of a customer she actually is, and how they relate it to the future. Who would like to give a view on what kind of a food and beverage client South African is all about, and what they are doing in the future? Craig, you probably have the best insights of us all in terms of that. How would you answer to that?
Yeah, the South African customer is a very, if I can put it, difficult customer, because you have, number one, you have your different class, your LSM, different classes. So you have your upper tier that, you know, obviously are not so price sensitive to product. And then you have your middle to lower income LSM, which are more looking at price rather than quality and so on. So, and a lot of the unfortunate part of it, a lot of them are brand loyal, especially the ones that are price sensitive. So they buy what they know because they only have an X amount of money in their pocket. So I think to penetrate that type of market with a new product, you got to be in line with the market. How can I say, the market selling aspects of the current listed product within the market. So introducing new trends and innovation and new products and all of that to the higher upper LSM, it's much easier. Hence, that's why in South Africa, like you mentioned in the beginning, you have a ShopRite and you have a Checkers, because the ShopRite accommodates the lower to middle class LSM, and then your Checkers is for your higher LSM. And the two stores don't carry, I mean, just for example, so Pick n Pay are busy with the same process where we have the blue stores and we have the red stores. So where you have a blue store having 18,000 SKUs listed, you're going to have a red store with only 8,000 SKUs listed, because you know the other 10,000 is irrelevant to that type of market that they're targeting. And that's where it comes down to price. So you have bulk sales, you have really aggressive promotional pricing as to what the market is demanding and to what the customer is really expecting. And then your higher LSM, which in our case in Pick n Pay are your blue stores, you have your more expensive niche products and your innovative products, and the availability range is a lot more to choose from, because obviously the customer that goes into store looks for if they're not brand loyal, they're looking for innovation, they're looking for quality, and they're looking to try something new. And if they do try something new, you got to keep a handle on that customer. So you got to monitor sales, and you got to always have availability of that product, or actually extend the range of the same product or similar product. So that's how can I say, where marketing comes in, where you promotional drive, you put marketing strategy behind it, advertising, on a large base. And yeah, and in the low LSM, you have for that type of customer, you have it's 90% price driven. So irrespective of, like I said, a lot of it is the house brands, which in the middle to low LSM. For example, in Pick n Pay's case, you have your No Name and you have your Pick n Pay brand. And in a lot of the high LSM, you have more branded products, as well as your Pick n Pay brand, and not necessarily focusing on your No Name, your cheaper version of the product. Yeah, but in saying that, I must say, I must say, from your higher to lower LSM, Pick n Pay, make sure that the quality is up to standard, because a lot of people think when they buy a cheaper product, it's at a lower quality, and that's not the, how can I say, the offering that Pick n Pay would like to give to the South African customer. The quality is always going to be on standard according to what the requirement is.
Yeah, correct. I will come back very soon to these future food trends, but Ulf, you work with the premium brands. How do you see the South African clients right now? And
how do we see the premium market?
Yeah.
Well, look, the premium market is a market that is, relatively isolated from the rest of the market. It's a good market to be in. It's a market that has growth in it. It's a market where you're not so easily replaced by something else, because people are brand conscious. So for us, it's been a conscious choice to be in the premium market, because we feel there's longevity in good brands, and there's a reward in investing in a brand and building a brand and building the brand equity. So this is for us the reason why we are in that segment. We think that if you're wanting to be in the commodities business, then you really have to look at how can you maybe do direct imports with some of the retailers. Are you just shipping bulk commodities like grain or breakfast cereal or private label or those kind of things? Then that would qualify, I think, for a different kind of relationship. But for us, the premium market has been good. I think it's been not always easy, but the fact that South Africa almost seems to be an encapsulated, isolated market in itself, makes it interesting, because there are not that many players that are available to there are only so many logistics routes in our country. There are only so many people that can do refrigerated transport. There are only so many, if we think about highly developed European markets, American markets, if you don't like to work with this one guy or another guy, you move on and you go to the next partner. This in South Africa is really not possible, because in any given environment, there are maybe 3-4 players, and those are your options. So you really have to make your relationships count. You have to be a good partner, because it's an incredibly small market, and you better not mess up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, right. And how yet again a question to Greg, because you most likely have the best answer. How you see the future in terms of food trends in the country right now?
Food trends is a continuous change, and you have to ironically, South Africa tries and keeps up with the world. So even though we are so diverse and so secluded from the rest of the world, we actually look at market trends and food trends within the world globally as well. But I think there's huge focus on health conscience going forward, such as plant-based, live well, sugar-free, gluten-free, all of those products ranges that they want to offer to the customer, because the customer is slowly but steadily changing into the health conscious segment, if I can put it that way, which is also a global trend which we are following as well. So I think the food chain and development of niche products within the market, I would say, because of the busy lifestyle of the South African customer as well. There's these on the go type of foods, heat and eat type of ready-made meals are a huge trend as well, and especially for the kids. The kids offering is also a growing market within South Africa. Lunchbox offerings, smaller pack sizes, so on. So that is what we're currently seeing within the South African market, and the development for I would say at least the next 12 months.
So do you see that the South African market goes hand in hand with some European markets, or is there something specifically South African in the market when it comes to future trends?
There is, I would say, more on your premium offering. It's international trending, especially out of Europe based.
Yeah,
I would say, and then your middle class to lower, I would say, or your everyday offering. There is specific South African products that are developing within South Africa from your local manufacturing. We have a slogan in South Africa. It says proudly South African or proudly local, and a lot of South Africans are proud of that, if I can say. So if they want to produce, if they want to purchase something, they actually go for the local before they go for the international produced or imported product. A lot of them, I would say, the knowledge behind that, a lot of products are imported, which are actually only manufactured in South Africa or only packaged in South Africa, which a lot of South Africans are not aware of that. So there was at one stage where we were importing UHT milk, and exactly the same product. It's just the one was imported, it was manufactured in South Africa. Unfortunately, they couldn't keep it to the demand, and we had to source an alternative supply at that stage, and it was international. And then a lot of South African how can I say, market feedback was negative, because we were actually importing the UHT milk when we can actually, they didn't know the reason behind why retailers were starting to import rather than buy and manufacture locally. So that's why I would say customer knowledge is also how can I say, there's a gap in that. So I would say when a new product is launched within the South African market, knowledge behind that and awareness and whatever insights can be given about that product will also be an advantage.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Let's move forward a few words, or do you want to, Daniel, comment
I
on?
just wanted to say something with the trend. Of course, also with the higher LSMs, they are the people following the trends. There was a time where everyone was on the banting bandwagon. Everyone wanted butter, and they had to also import butter because we didn't have enough butter in the country, if I remember correctly. And then now people are also going more vegan or plant-based, which is also a big trend that I even see from Europe. Quite a few people asking about it. Or from Germany then.
Yeah, excellent. A few words about brand building and marketing, such an important part of succeeding in this market. I would like to ask from Laura. I know you've been working so much with so many Scandinavian brands, and not only in food and beverage industry. What's your take? What kind of brands succeed in South Africa? What should be taken into account when you start to build your brand?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. But you know what I think it is, and what I've experienced is that it's a bit back to what we spoke about before. It's about listening, because if you come in with a product and a brand where you think one size is going to fit all, it will not be like that. So just listen again. Even big companies such as H&M, for example, when they started up in South Africa 7 years ago, and now they have 34 stores in South Africa. But when they started up, there were, for example, things about sizes and about looks and so on that they had to do differently for this market. And if you don't do that, some of the South Africans will remember, you can get into trouble if you only have white people in your commercials. It doesn't work in South Africa, and so forth. But even with it, the way you present the things in the stores and so on, you have to. So again, listen and deal with locals. Even make sure that if you ever set up your own entity in South Africa at some stage, make sure that you employ locals who know the local market. Not just your own people that you send out from Finland. Of course, that's also an option, but make sure that you work with the local South Africans to get the South African solution for your brand. That's actually the same for absolutely everybody I've dealt with. You got to find that beautiful compromise and that beautiful way of bridging the two worlds.
Yeah, correct. Ulf, I know you do some great marketing things with your brands. Any comments from your side? What it takes to really create a brand in South Africa?
First of all, the brand itself, it needs to have some type of history, some type of good narrative, why the products are special, why, you know, what's the reason for the existence of that company and product, and then you extend on that narrative and try and create that narrative in our market. Look, obviously the things like normal seasonal promotions and price deals and specials, that's a given, that's normal, that anybody has to do that. But are there certain things that you must do that are beyond that? Absolutely, because that's really where you make the difference between building a brand or just putting it on shelf and discounting it. You need to engage with your consumer at a different kind of level, also maybe at a level outside the supermarket. So where can he encounter that product and have an experience with that product that is maybe not on a offer for purchase kind of situation? So are you able to support certain events? There are sort of supermarket chains that do sort of walks and people get together and make a big walk on a Sunday. Are you able to sponsor these kind of events? Are you able to put your product in the consumer's hands at a point where he doesn't expect it? And also, if you are doing this in the premium market, I would say the secret is probably to be a little bit more generous than you think you should be, because if you're targeting a premium consumer, he doesn't want to try a small piece of chocolate that you're offering on a shelf in a supermarket that's broken open and everybody's putting his fingers in it. I mean, yes, over the last 2 years, obviously that's stopped in any case, but our type of consumer would not necessarily take an expensive piece of chocolate from a tray where it's being offered out in the open. But we would, for instance, then say, rather take a full slab of chocolate and give it to your type of consumer at a gala, at an art opening, at another kind of event like a fashion show, and be more generous, because the type of consumer that you are targeting has the disposable income to then go into the supermarket and shop for these kind of products. So think about different ways that you can make a connection between your product and the consumer that happens outside the traditional supermarket shelf.
Yes, Okay, thanks. And guys, it's been a fantastic, really insightful discussion. We could continue this for a while. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. And just to wrap up this discussion, the final point, which we actually already went through as probably the most important advice we are able to give to Finnish manufacturers. There is a need, if you want to succeed, for a proper strategy, commitment, a long-term plan, and all these industry experts are been there, done it, and they are happy to share insights if need be. But I will wrap up this discussion. I hope this dialogue continues. There is many more topics to cover. I thank all the industry experts, and I have a final guest for this masterclass, Lili Lehtovuori, coming from Vienna. She's from Food from Finland program. I think over 120 Finnish brands participating that program. Please give your reflections about this discussion.
Thank you, Mika, for the introduction, and hello also from my side to everybody here online today. So yes, as Mika told, I'm based in Vienna, but I'm heading our global food expert team, where Jenny is also very important and active member of the team. And our work is to identify new opportunities for the Finnish food and beverage companies and link the opportunities and the Finnish companies together, exactly what we have been doing today within the masterclass. So I really enjoyed the discussion today, and it was very inspiring to hear the views and insights of the industry experts. I have 3 takeaways which I would like to share with you. And the first one is the long-term commitment. So it is really important that you have the commitment from the top management of your company, and that everybody in your company understands that exports is a marathon, not like a 100-meter run. And it really requires systematic, consistent, long-term work. And the second point is about the trust and relationships. So Finland is about the only country where people grow up to trust everyone. But almost everywhere else, you really need to build the trust first. And this is something that the Finns often forget, and they just come with their world best product on the market. So it is really important to build the trust at the same time, but it was also a very good reminder not to be this besserwisser, and to really also for the Finns to trust the local contacts, since they are the ones who know the market in South Africa. And then as a third takeaway, actually, I would like to quote Simon Sinek, which is a very popular public speaker. And he says that it's important to dream big, start small, but most of all, start. So most of the big things, they have started small, and it is important that you start. And in case you would like to know the South African market in more detail, verify the relevance of your product, the competition, the pricing, and build the network. So Business Finland has these funding tools available for you. For example, this Market Explorer is available for small and medium-sized companies. Then we have the Group Explorer, which is if we have at least 4 companies wanting to explore the same market, and there also large companies can join. And then we can also support you, for example, with the Finland Weeks or some promotional events in a store or outside of a store, in case we have at least 4 brands taking part. And in South Africa, we have a great Team Finland network who has this great further network of contacts that we have seen today. So I would like to thank you on my behalf all the panelists and all the Finnish company participants today. And I now give the screen to Jenni for some final closing words. Thank you.
Thanks, Lily.
Yeah, thanks so much, Lily, and thank you for your kind words. Yeah, we do all we can. I saw there were some questions. Some of them were already answered in the chat. Marco, regarding the oat products, there are some oat products in the market already, but this dairy cream, alternative dairy cream liquor sounds very interesting. So we'll get back to you on that by email, if that's okay. So final words from me, I guess. We hope this masterclass has delivered its expectation. So as an outcome, we will receive a summary of the best practices and insights. Now I'm repeating, I guess, of many of all the speakers. So good preparation and commitment is really the key for success, and we want to support these preparations as well as we can. As Thomas Edison famously said, we should remember that good fortune often happens when opportunity meets with preparation. So later today, we will send you a Team Finland feedback survey for your honest and valuable feedback, because we really need that to improve our services for you to cater for your needs more specifically. For our audience, thank you so much for joining this masterclass and for your active participation. Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you so much for all the industry experts for your amazing contribution and insightful inputs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's amazing. So let's keep in touch. And finally, great thanks to Mika for sharing your insights and for moderating this masterclass successfully. I'm excited. Yeah, so we are happy to continue providing support for you and look forward to continue the conversation. I'll just quickly show, we're going to share this afterwards as well. We have several online platforms that you can find us. We also have a specific Team Finland South Africa newsletter. You can find it there, and please subscribe to it to get some news from us. We have 5 social media platforms nowadays. And and there's also a Food from Finland website. Unfortunately, there's a typo. I can see that it's not finished there, but it's basically foodfromfinland.fi. Am I correct, Lily? So you can find more information there about the Food from Finland activities. So yeah, we are happy to continue providing the support to you. So there are my details. There are details of my colleague in the Johannesburg office from Business Finland, Camilo. And yeah, as they say in Africa, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So kiitos, thank you, danki, niabonga, inkosi, kialeboha. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, and never give up. Everything is possible. Thank you so much.